Sometimes a narcissist doesn't walk into your life with drama or chaos. They walk in with warmth, confidence, and charm, the kind that makes you feel you've met someone rare, someone who sees you, someone who understands you, someone who feels special. But over time, the picture becomes clearer, and the small signs that once felt like nothing begin to form a pattern. The overwhelming warmth at the beginning. In the beginning, they shower you with attention, texts full of compliments, deep conversations at midnight, promises about the future that come too fast, too soon. They make you feel like you are the center of their world, almost like a dream. But it isn't love. It's a strategy, a way to pull you close before you even realize what's happening. Every story somehow circles back to them. You share a small victory, they share a bigger one. You talk about your struggles, they talk about how they had it even harder. You express excitement, they shift the spotlight toward themselves. It's subtle, but over time you begin to feel like your voice gets smaller, because with them, the world has one center, and it's not you. They make you doubt your own reality. This is where things get confusing. They might deny something they clearly said, or say you're too sensitive, overreacting, or imagining things. Slowly you start questioning, am I really remembering it wrong? Maybe I am too emotional? This is gaslighting, not loud, not obvious, but deeply destabilizing. Their mood changes without warning. Yesterday they were warm, gentle, affectionate. Today they're distant, cold, or irritated for no reason. You replay everything in your mind, trying to figure out what you did wrong, but the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. This inconsistency is part of the cycle, so you keep chasing the version of them that showed up in the beginning. Their empathy feels like an imitation. They know what to say. They know how to react. They know how to look concerned, but something feels off. Their empathy doesn't comfort you. It confuses you because it feels practiced, not heartfelt, like they're mirroring emotion instead of actually feeling it. The manipulation patterns. Once the subtle signs start appearing, something else follows quietly behind them. The patterns of manipulation. These patterns are not always loud or dramatic. Most of the time, they're gentle, almost invisible, until you look back and realize how deeply they affected you. Gaslighting, making you question yourself. Gaslighting isn't just about denying facts. It's about reshaping your reality. They might say, "I never said that." You're imagining things. You're too sensitive. Why are you making this a big deal? And little by little, you start doubting your own memories, your own feelings, even your own instincts. You begin to trust their version of the story more than your own. That's the power of gaslighting. It makes you believe that you are the problem, even when you're not. Silent treatment, punishing you without a word. A narcissist doesn't need to shout to hurt you. Sometimes they simply become silent. No messages, no eye contact, no explanations, just withdrawal. Their silence says, if you behave the way I want, I will come back. If you don't, you lose access to me. Silent treatment is not about wanting space. It's about control. Controlling your fear of losing connection. Blame shifting. You become the reason for everything. When something goes wrong, somehow it always circles back to you. They may say things like, "You made me react this way. If you didn't do that, I wouldn't be upset. I was fine until you ruined the mood." Even their mistakes become your responsibility. Their anger becomes your fault. Their choices become consequences of your behavior. They never take accountability because in their story, they're always the victim. Emotional highs and lows, keeping you off balance. One day they're unbelievably warm, thoughtful, attentive, almost perfect. The next day they're cold and dismissive. This back and forth creates something psychologists call trauma bonding. You become attached not because of consistency, but because you're constantly chasing the version of them who felt loving. It's the emotional equivalent of walking on a tightrope. Triangulation, bringing a third person into the story. They might mention how someone else understands them better, or how others don't react the way you do. Sometimes they compare you with an ex, a friend, a coworker, not directly to hurt you, but to make you feel like you're never enough. This keeps you trying harder, giving more, proving your worth, while they give less and less. Withholding affection, love becomes a prize. They might say they love you, but their love has conditions. When you agree with them, they're affectionate. When you question them, they withdraw. In their world, affection is not a natural expression, it's currency, something they use to maintain control. Playing the victim, turning every situation around. Even when they hurt you, they find a way to make it about how they are suffering. You cry, they say you're attacking them. You ask for clarity, they say you're too demanding. You set a boundary, they say you're cold. In their world, your pain becomes their weapon. How to protect yourself. Protecting yourself from a narcissist isn't about fighting. It isn't about changing them either, because you can't change someone who doesn't see a problem with their behavior. Protecting yourself is about coming home to your clarity, your boundaries, and your peace. Let's walk through this, slowly and softly. Listen to the discomfort you keep ignoring. Your body often senses the truth before your mind accepts it. The tightness in your chest, the anxiety before you text them back, the habit of rehearsing what you want to say so they won't get upset. These are signals you don't need evidence to justify your feelings. Your discomfort is evidence. Set gentle but firm emotional boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors, and you decide who gets to walk through. For example, I won't continue this conversation if you raise your voice. I need time to process before I respond. I'm not comfortable being blamed for things I didn't do. You don't need to argue, you don't need to defend. You simply hold your boundary, calmly, consistently. People who respect you will adjust. People who don't will show you who they are. Stop explaining yourself to someone who isn't listening. A narcissist doesn't want to understand your point of view. They want to protect their own. So instead of spiraling into long explanations, remind yourself, I don't need to convince someone to treat me with respect. Silence can be stronger than any argument. Limit emotional exposure. Share less of your vulnerabilities, less of your fears, less of the parts that they use as leverage. This isn't about hiding yourself. It's about not handing your heart to someone who has shown they can't hold it gently. Create physical or emotional distance when possible. Distance doesn't always mean cutting ties completely. Sometimes it simply means slower replies, shorter conversations, clearer priorities. More time with people who make you feel safe. Distance gives you perspective, and perspective gives you power. Build your support system again. Narcissists isolate you slowly, not by force, but by making you rely on them emotionally. Rebuild your circle. Call an old friend, reconnect with family, join a community, find spaces where you can breathe without being judged. You don't have to heal alone. Remember, their behavior is not your responsibility. You didn't cause their mood swings. You didn't deserve the silent treatment. You're not the reason they lash out. You're not too much. You're not too sensitive. You're just someone who cared, and caring is never a fault. Walking away, emotionally or physically, is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new one, a story where you return to yourself, a story where your worth isn't questioned every day, where your feelings aren't dismissed, where your quiet victories actually matter. Let's explore what healing looks like. Give yourself permission to feel everything. Relief, sadness, anger, confusion, even missing them. Healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel strong. Some days you'll feel pulled back into old patterns. That's normal. Healing is not about being perfect. It's about being honest with yourself. Rebuild your self-worth. Piece by piece, narcissistic dynamics often erode your confidence without you noticing. So you rebuild slowly. Celebrate small wins. Speak kindly to yourself. Acknowledge your progress. Surround yourself with voices that lift you up. You don't need to rush. You just need to return to who you were before their voice got louder than your own. Learn to trust your intuition again. When someone constantly manipulates your reality, you stop trusting your own thoughts. Healing means learning to listen again. If something feels off, pause. If someone makes you uneasy, pay attention. If your body whispers no, honor it. Your intuition isn't broken, it's just been quiet for too long. See the lesson, not the blame. Narcissists come into our lives for many reasons. Sometimes to teach us boundaries, sometimes to teach us self-worth, sometimes to remind us of the love we deserve. You don't have to hate them to move on. You just have to choose yourself. Surround yourself with steady, gentle connections. Healing is easier when you feel safe. Spend time with people who listen without judging, care without conditions, celebrate your growth. Don't use your softness against you. These are the people who help you remember who you are. And finally, you are not hard to love. Maybe they made you feel like your needs were too much, or your emotions were inconvenient, or your heart was dramatic. None of that is true. You are not hard to love. You were just trying to love someone who could not love you back in the way you deserved. And now you're finally returning to yourself, to your strength, your clarity, your peace. And that is the beginning of your healing.